For you to understand how this film came to be made, I need to introduce my friend Norman Rabinowitz, a member of the Burman Show in Rehoboth, and an author of 5 books for sale on the Amazon site. His path to writing books was unusual, to say the least.
All through high school and college, I did terrible in English. When I came home and I had more leisure, I was able to write. My father passed away, and I got a job teaching in a Hasidic yeshiva. I was a third grade teacher when I was a junior in college.
Norman learned to control his 8-year-old yeshiva students by reading them stories he had written. Later in life, while working on Holocaust related books, he met Joe Ben Eliyahu, a Burmese Jew born in Rangoon. Joe's story of his life as a teenager in Rangoon, Burma during World War II became the factual basis for Norman's book, Burmese Gold. I read this book and decided it could be the basis for a film. However, the first step was to learn more about the Jews of Rangoon. Yangon, Myanmar, is a modern Asian metropolis. In the 19th and until 1962 in the 20th century, it was also a British colony known as Rangoon, Burma. Its ancient Buddhist temples, with their gold domes, are major tourist attractions. However, in the old center of the city, not far from the synagogue, there exists an ancient Jewish cemetery, a silent reminder of a once thriving community and its golden age. The Jews of Rangoon came from Baghdad and Persia and India. Sammy Samuels is one of its last members. He runs a tourist agency, bringing Jewish tourists to Yangon from all over the world.
My name is Sammy Samuel. I'm from Burma, and my generation, my great-grandparents came from Iraq. And there used to be a big community, about 3,000 Jews before the World War II, and mainly came from Iraq, Iran, and then other countries. We still have a very beautiful synagogue right in the downtown, and it's one of the heritage building. And in a good time, we have a lot of visitors coming from Israel, US, and other countries visiting, even Jews and non-Jews also visiting the synagogue. Synagogue is still remain, and our family has been taking care for now over past 40 years, 4 decades now.
My name is William Frank. Yeah, I was born in Burma, Rangoon. My mother was from Baghdad, my father was from Turkey. Yeah, they were in a very, very good position. They're very wealthy and everything. But it happens, their parents ran out of Iraq and Turkey. They went to Burma. Then from Burma, the Japanese came. So we went to India.
The British time, the golden age, they always refer as it's the golden age of the Jewish community till 1940.
My memories of the synagogue were absolutely fantastic days. Not only the synagogue, but the thing that worked up to the same. We were taken out, made beautiful shandang dresses, shandang bows, nice patent the shoes, little socks with little lace on it. Absolutely, we felt like little princesses.
The Jewish contribution to modern Yangon is recognized and preserved by the government, as this plaque explains. This building was constructed by the Jewish Sofer family and for many decades housed several of the city's most prestigious firms, as well as the Vienna Cafe on the ground floor. It was known as Randeria House in the 1930s. Sammy explained further what many Jews did for a living in Rangoon.
They have a doctor office, lawyer office, bookstore. Coca-Cola was brought to Rangoon by the Jewish family, the Solomon brother. And a lot of others like wine and spirit shops in Rangoon downtown were owned by the Jewish family, the Sofer family, Kaduri family, the Sassoon family, so they were all there.
All of this changed with the Japanese invasion of Burma in 1942.
because Joe's father was a World War I hero and was made of British citizenship because of his valor, there was a call that all British citizens report to the airport for evacuation to India. And a British officer would not let them on the plane, even though the grandfather protested and showed his citizenship papers because they were colored. So Joe's grandfather went back to Rangoon, gathered up whatever gold he had and English pounds, and said, we're going to walk to India through, there's a passageway, all the refugees were going from Burma to India. On the way to India, Joe's grandmother, grandfather, father, and mother died in the jungle. All the gold was gone, and Joe had to bring his sister back to Rangoon.
Because of their close relations with the British, who had now retreated to India, Burmese Jews were the subject of an anti-Jewish campaign in the Japanese English language newspaper, Greater Asia. Under the heading, "The Jews are the first enemy of the Japanese," English-speaking Jews were rounded up and taken to concentration camps as accused spies.
He comes back to Rangoon, he's 16 years old, and he has to take care of his sister, and he has to find something to do. He hates the British so much at this point, he decides to join the Japanese secret police. And that's what he does. He goes for a course, he learns Japanese, then becomes a member of the Kempai.
In World War II, at least 11 field Kempeitais were active outside of Japan. Came to methods, Kempei loved a bit of torture, so much so that they had their own handbook on this depraved art form of theirs.
So when the Japanese start coming in, they have all different kind of problem, and being closed synagogue for 2 months, and no one's allowed to go in and out. And also my grandfather, so they were doing the upside down to the 6th member, and one member died during the torture. So they call it the Japanese concentration camp in there. So they were upside down. They have to drink the salty water. So these are the that's not the good story that they share about the during the Japanese time. They always share the great stories about the British time.
He's walking in the streets, and the shamas of his shoal sees him. They greet each other. And he says, Joe, I'm going to see you tomorrow. He says, what do you mean? He says, Joe, it's Rosh Hashanah. Joe says, I've forgotten completely. So Joe says, I'll go to shul tomorrow. I'll see you in shul. Joe went to shul, sat in his family pew, and during the davening, a Japanese officer walks in with 2 guards, armed, and the whole shul stops. Joe speaks Japanese at this point. He walks over to the officer, says, I work for the Kempai. The officer says, who can I trust? Joe says, I work for the Kempai. He sat next to Joe, gave him his sword, and he opened up a machzor, half in Hebrew, half in Russian. The Japanese officer father was a Manchurian Jew.
Norman placed Joe at the center of a fictional account of efforts to save from the Japanese the synagogue's 92 wooden Torah scroll containers that were plated with gold and silver.
Because Burma is a center of gold mining, gold is very cheap. And all their Torahs had the normal wooden teak, but then it was plated with gold. So that's the story as I know it about Joe, and these are the stories he told me.
While Norman's story is fiction, the truth is that the scrolls were in danger. A newspaper article written after the war mentions that all 92 Torah scrolls were saved from looters who were driven off by members of the congregation after the Japanese retreated from Rangoon at the war's end.
But the son returned, like I mentioned earlier, after the 48. But they told me the life that they had before the Japanese, before, during the British time, and even after Burma independence, it's a different. And then they start leaving the country. And then the 62 was the main switch that many have left.
The true Burmese gold is Sammy and his family, who for decades dedicated their lives to diligently looking after and protecting the synagogue. So there you have the story of how this film came to be made, and the Jews of Rangoon, or Yangon as it's known today. To see other films of interest, search Jerry Tanny on YouTube to find my channel, and Google for the Ale Community Television Rehovot website.